First production I worked on was something called the Orient Express with Sam Waterston and Zero Mostel were in it. And they brought in an old train which had to be refurbished. And they brought in the train all the way from England, and everything inside had to be painted and wood grained. My trade was a scenic artist and painter, but it took a while to get there. The early days were very helter-skelter. There were 4 or 5 productions, and I met John Thomas, for example, on a movie by Carnal Knowledge, yes, Carnal Knowledge, and our job at that time was to run around on rafters, 2x6 rafters, 40 feet off the ground, and hang grip cages so they could put in lighting and do a whole bunch of stuff. And John didn't like it much up there because you had to, basically step across 2x8s that were only about 24 inches apart. And safety in those days wasn't an issue because we were young, we were immortal, it didn't matter. And the union itself, or the organization I joined, was very helter-skelter again because there were arguments about, well, what would you do, what department you're in, and we didn't really have departments. Everybody was just running around doing what they could do and learning from the Americans who were coming in. And it took approximately 4 years from about 1968 to 72 to actually form distinct departments. So people had categories, people had specific jobs, people could do specific training before you would just run out and do any job that was available. And of course there were a lot of arguments about jurisdiction, who gets to do what, which department is responsible for which part of the set. I remember a huge argument between set decorators and props people because they were trying to decide what is a prop, what is something that you use in set decorating. The difference, if the actor picks up the pillow, takes it with him, and puts it in the chair, is that now a prop or is that from set decorating? A lot of these minute, what you would consider minute details had to be worked out so everybody knew what their job would be or what their job was. So it took almost 4 years to form all these different departments. Lighting, grip, makeup, costume, and it took another 4 or 5 years to write tests. So when new people came in, we could actually test them, so to speak. Some department also had training classes. The painters, for example, if you were a permittee as a painter, every Saturday you could go and there would be 2 or 3 senior painters in a part of the studio, and they would explain, okay, this is how you age down things. These are things you have to do. If you stand by a painter on camera, stay out of the eyesight or the eye line of the actors. They get very nervous when they're in the middle of doing their thing and they have all these eyeballs staring at them. So please be careful, take your time, and it was about a 6 to 10 year learning process before the people I worked with we all worked together actually formed a unit that would work pretty well. Other problems were early productions. We were signing 1 contract at a time, and as things got busier, you would have to call special board meetings. Everybody had already worked 10, 12 hours. They would come to the board meeting, and there would be 6 or 7 shows with all these concessions. We had to go through each one of them every time. And at 4 in the morning, everybody went home and then tried to, go back on the set the following day. And one day, it was also it was also a problem finding executives for the union for Local 891, people who would step forward, you know, and sort of have an executive committee, executive meetings to sort of organize everybody, to organize the departments, to have the training schedules, all these things that had to be done. And
what did you love about this business?
what I love about the business is the constant challenge you were facing. You know, things that had to be done, things that had to be accomplished, things that had to be done yesterday, but you only get to do them today. And the early people in the industry were just totally committed. It even led to the point later where we actually had to deal with burnout among our members, with people going kind of strange. Their marriages were dissolving. Their kids didn't like them any longer because everybody was working these incredible hours and totally focused on the film industry.